Hi, Lois. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now we follow the instructions here. Hey, Paula.
Hello.
Let's see if I can do this. Claim host. Oh, looks like it's working.
Yay.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good, thank you. We're just waiting.
Sure.
Good evening.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold. I'm still in my jacket. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good here.
At least it's not Saturday night, right? Or Friday night, right?
Oh my gosh,
That was brutally cold.
Brutal, brutal, brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just wait a few minutes, see if Janice and Kristen. Here comes Janice. All right, we'll give it one more minute to see if Kristen joins, and if not, we will proceed. Okay, let's go ahead and up. Looks like we may have some public participation. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the introductions. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today is February 6th. It's 7:01 p.m. Calling to order the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities monthly meeting. A reminder that the meeting is being recorded. So far, roll call. I heard from Lorna, she will not be attending tonight. I do not see Levon online, and I don't see Kristen online. Lois, would you like to go ahead with the pledge, please? Do you have a flag? No. Lois, do you have your flag? No, maybe Lois can't hear us. Okay, why don't we go ahead? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and to provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. I see a few folks on the line. Hi, Mike, how are you? Mike McLean. And
good,
then we
Marie.
have Megan McDonough. I'm going to assume those are making this public participation for the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead, and tonight we have Greg Ames from the job placement specialist from the Mass Rehab Commission office in Malden. Thank you, Greg, for your willingness to do this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So what I asked Greg to do, typically I think MRC's presentations are to individuals using their services, you know, what services they offer and how to navigate the different services such as Social Security, et cetera, when you're getting a job. But I explained to Greg that we are interested here in the commission more outreach to businesses in town, and we wanted to hear from him as to the services and supports he would provide to a business. So with that, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. So again, my name is Greg Ames. I'm the job placement specialist at our Malden office. We have over 20 area offices throughout the state, and we cover every town in the state. In each MRC office, we have between 10 to 15, sometimes less, sometimes more counselors in each office. People with disabilities can either be referred or refer themselves to our service. Then they meet with the counselors initially. The counselors then do initial assessments on people. They talk about what they want to do for work, any issues that they might have in regards to getting to work or finding a job, like housing or benefits, counseling, or training. You know, we'll pay for a bachelor's degree if it requires. If somebody wants a job that requires that, we'll pay that. So once they've gone through all of the assessments, they met with the counselors and they're quote unquote job ready, then they're referred to me. There's one of me in every MRC office. Basically, my role is to obviously interface with the consumers, get to know them, and then I work with the employers. I do outreach to employers. My role is really to do kind of multifaceted, if you will. We do trainings for our consumers, like resumes, cover letters, interview skills, soft skills, LinkedIn training, everything to get them, quote unquote, ready for the world of work. And then when they are, and again, then when they're referred to me, I start working with them. Again, there's one of me in every MRC office, and we all have cultivated relationships with the employers within our communities that we cover. I cover basically greater Boston. I go from Somerville, Waltham to Wakefield and everything in between, really. So it's a pretty good swath of area that I cover. The job placement specialists have accounts, if you will, with employers. My major account is CVS. So if anybody wants a job at CVS from MRC, they usually come to me and I help them with the process. I hold multiple other accounts with employers. I'm Mass General Brigham. We've created other accounts throughout the state. So really, you name it in the industries, we have relationships with employers, from like Home Depot or Market Basket, where people might be bagging groceries, to data analytics, doctors, lawyers, kind of everything in between. So we run the gamut. We help people with every sort of disability except the blind. That we have a sister agency for that. So again, my role is to go out to kind of educate myself about what an employer's needs are. So for instance, CVS, they came to us about 10 years ago, and we were constantly working with them prior to that, but they came to us with a huge need in pharmacy tech. So we sat down with our partners in human resources in their workforce development team, and we came up with an idea about training in-house our consumers for those particular jobs. So what we're able to do is to create a training program, an 8-week training program, to get consumers who might be interested in pharmacy tech that training. So we're able to use CVS's proprietary training, get our people educated about the role, the responsibilities, and then at the end of the training, my role is to then help the consumers with resumes, cover letters, mock interviews, applications, and then partner with our HR reps at CVS and make the connections for our consumers. So that's kind of like, again, there's one of me in every office, and we do that on a daily basis, if you will. We do outreach to employers all the time. We do everything, again, public, private, state, federal government. We have an innovative program where we're working with the state right now to help our consumers with state jobs. What we do there is we work with the human resources teams for all the state agencies. And every 2 months, we bring in job-ready consumers who are interested in state employment and have qualifications for state jobs. They come in and do a 4-minute elevator pitch to all of those recruiters from those state agencies, and it gives them face time to network with these recruiters. And if the recruiters like what they see and hear, the recruiters outreach directly to our consumers. What we really focus on at MRC is really about making a difference for our consumers, not just a job. We look at careers for people. That's our main focus. Our focus is to help our people become independent in their lives. And obviously work is one of those ways to do that. And again, prior to me meeting with them, the counselor meets with them about housing or benefits, all of those other things. So we kind of a multifaceted agency, if you will, where we help with a myriad of different issues to get people, again, job ready for the roles that are out there. Some of the incentives that we work with employers, we have on-the-job evaluations and an on-the-job training program. The on-the-job evaluation is for 6 weeks, where we come in and an employer has a need. Say they have an admin need for 6 weeks, and they come to us and we pay that person's salary for 6 weeks, and they get that work experience, they get a paycheck, they get something to stick on their resume, and if they do well, hopefully there's a job at the end of it. And if not, if they do well, they get at least a recommendation out of that. So this is a great opportunity for people who might have gaps in their resume. A lot of our consumers do. They might have worked when they were younger, then their disability popped up, and they might have been out of the workforce 5, 10 years. So this is a nice way to get their feet back into the game, if you will, to get some training, to get recommendations, get something to put on their resume, and it helps them further along their careers. We offer on-the-job training too, which is a little bit different. That's longer, that's 3 months in duration. Where the on-the-job evaluation really is an evaluation almost. the on-the-job training for those 3 months, we expect to have a job at the end of that. So there's a little bit more of a financial and time-wise commitment on our behalf. So we really tell employers that, you know, if you want to do an on-the-job training, there's got to be really a job at the end of it. So these kind of incentives have really helped us kind of do outreach to employers, especially in difficult times. I think the world of work, obviously, in the last few years has changed a great deal. I know the pandemic is a horrible thing, but it really kind of changed the face of work for a lot of our clients because employers have gone remotely. And for a majority of our clients, you know, transportation is a huge issue. And sometimes their disabilities impact their abilities to kind of interact. Some people who are on the spectrum might have a difficult time interacting with coworkers. So remote work has really kind of changed the game for us here at MRC, where our consumers are able to work from home, get the job done, get a paycheck, and have a career. So we've really come to strides with that. When we're working with employers, we support them just as much as they support our consumers. So once somebody gets hired, we don't just say, all right, great, thanks, see you later. We still continue to work with our consumers and the employers because we want to make both happy. How it works for MRC is that we're federally funded. We're 80% federally funded, and the rest is state funded. So we have benchmarks to reach. So many people have to be what we call, I hate the word rehabilitated, but it's rehabilitation. And that's 90 days of work. After that 90 days, we can theoretically close that person's case and say they've been successfully rehabilitated. For a lot of people, we don't close them out at 90 days. If they need additional supports, we keep their case open. We provide job coaches to employers. You know, if a consumer needs somebody on the job with them, it could be either on the job with them or, you know, before work, during the lunch break, or after work, where that support really is tailored to the consumer themselves. So, you know, there's tax credits for hiring people with disabilities. We're in a protected group. We work with it to educate employers around the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, which is basically civil rights legislation for people with disabilities in a myriad of different areas. But part of the ADA is obviously geared toward employment. So we help educate employers around accommodating our consumers. So there's a myriad of things that the job placement team does within the framework of creating relationships with you sustaining those relationships, but more importantly, making the good matches for our consumers to have a career or you know, a first job. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Yes, Judy.
I was wondering about your age ranges. What's a typical age range of your consumer?
They can start working in high school with our counselors. Usually a lot of high school, we have counselors embedded in the high schools. So they can get referred, you know, 16, 17, get the ball rolling. And then when they're ready for work, you know, we can get going. We've placed 17 and 18-year-olds at jobs at Home Depot, CVS, you know, and then at 80, 90, I don't know what the oldest client we've ever had, but yeah, it can be that old. But the other thing I talked about is we work with the federal government, and we also work with the state government, and we also work with municipalities like yourselves. I have a really great, I used to actually be on the Disability Commission in Arlington. And I did that obviously as a volunteer. So I created a great relationship with the HR team there and helped place people in jobs in the town of Arlington. We do that with the state, as I mentioned before, but we also work with the federal government to do that. So there's a Schedule A program to help people with disabilities access federal jobs. I won't get into that here, but it's another program to, again, help our consumers access those jobs.
So
Anybody else?
Greg, I have a
Yes.
question.
Sure.
So let's say, we have a lot of businesses in town that aren't even aware that MRC exists. Do you
Mhm.
have any type of marketing material that you would use to
Yeah,
reach out
I
to them?
sent you, I thought I sent you a brochure.
Okay, so it would be that brochure? Okay,
But if you have any employers that you're talking to, I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce, if you have any contacts there, I'd be more than happy to network with them. But any employers that are doing outreach to you, I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
okay, that would be great. I will get them that brochure.
Hopefully we're going to have new marketing material coming up soon. That's an old brochure, but it basically says all the same
Says
things.
the
that
same
we've been saying.
things. Okay.
Kristen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I was late joining. I was curious about how your consumers are referred to you, or their diagnoses that have to be included, or how do people go about that?
So people can either refer themselves or be referred. So a lot of times children or kids are in high school, that they might be working with guidance counselors. And again, we have a team, we have a counselor in every town school system. So they're embedded already in there. So if they're younger and they're diagnosed with a disability and they want to access MRC services, they can be referred that way. A lot of times it's word of mouth to get referred, but it usually includes doctor's letters, kind of a proof, if you will, of disability. And then there's a disability determination services that we work with to help our consumers gather that kind of information to access our services. Anybody else?
And so my other question is, over the years, how have how do you partner with DDS or overlap with DDS? Full disclosure, Paula, who's here on the call with us, represents DDS for the disability. So I can just say from personal experience, my son with Down syndrome, when he was in the high school, we're going back 7 or 8 years now, it seemed difficult for MRC to provide him services because it seemed like he needed a lot more support than what you folks may have offered.
That's true in some regards. That's why we have vendors. We work with like the Easter Seals, VinFen, and a host of other providers within the community. So we have those added benefits to help people who might have more challenges and maybe need to have their hand held a little bit more.
Right.
So we work with them and do that. But we are co-located with, there was a mandate a few years ago and by the governor, and a lot of our agencies are now co-located. So we're kind of working now closer together. Like we're co-located with the Department of Transitional Assistance in Malden. We work closely with DDS. So we do work with other agencies, but I have to say it's still the state, and sometimes that can be difficult. And again, the counselors are, from my workings, it's really the counselors who kind of do that connecting. My role is primarily just with the consumers and the employers.
So
Jim?
if somebody needed additional services, are you able to provide referrals for them?
Yes, the counselors do that. Yep.
Could I go back to something that you said a few minutes ago? Did you say that there is a counselor in every high school in Massachusetts?
I'm pretty sure that, yeah. And I think in every high school, we have affiliations, yeah.
So you have affiliations with a member of
With schools, yeah. So counselors are assigned towns, if you will, that they work with. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not literally a member of the school department.
No, they're not literal. They're not
Okay.
staff members. No, but
Okay.
they work with the schools.
So there might be one person who is assigned to 15
Wakefield.
high schools? And they might be assigned to other high schools or just Wakefield?
No, I think it's just one. yeah.
And who does that person work for?
MRC.
The MRC? Wow.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
have like 350 people. Well, more than that.
Counselors, unfortunately, are very overworked. They have 150 to 200 people maybe on their caseload at a different time. So you can just imagine trying to coordinate services for that myriad of people. But we get it done. Last year, you know, even during the pandemic, we put over 3,500 people back to work. So we reached our benchmarks every year and then some, and exceeded them by a pretty wide margin.
Where do you think a person should start? If a family should start, if they have a family member or that individual wants to self-refer, what's the first thing they should
The
do?
first thing they do is call their local MRC offices and ask for a referral. We usually have information sessions once a month in each office. I mean, right now, obviously, we do those through Zoom. So it's a great opportunity for not only the consumer, but the family members to kind of attend that information session and gather that information, whether or not we're a good match for them.
I'm sorry, can you explain that again? These info sessions, how often are they held?
Usually once a month.
Monthly? And we can get on your website to,
Yes,
and
on our
keep track of
website.
the
Yeah,
next
if you go to mass.gov/MRC, you'll be able to scroll down and pick your town, and it'll tell you what office to go to.
okay.
Obviously, you guys are Malden, so.
All right.
Are your consumers having trouble, you know, with the return to work? You said that remote was working very well for you.
It has. It's worked a great deal for us. Again, a lot of the consumers who are, again, transportation it might be, or, you know, they might have problems interacting with other coworkers. This has just provided a great opportunity for those people to kind of work from home because they have the skills and abilities, education, training to do the jobs. It's just these maybe social interactions prevented them from feeling comfortable in doing a job effectively. And now that remote work is here, and I think it's here to stay for a vast majority of a lot of companies and state agencies. We're actually 1 day a week, you know, in office. So yeah, so, you know, it's changed the world of work. And again, I think for a lot of our consumers for the better.
So you're not running into troubles with employers requiring people to come back into the office?
Well, if they're, you know, again, we steer our clients to what's going to work best for them. If they're able to get into work, yes, you know, but if they're not, you know, then we're going to have to look somewhere else that is remote for them. Yes, those.
I have a question. You said the only people that you do not help are blind people, not visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
So
We have
you-
the Mass Commission for the Blind. That's our sister agency. We work hand in hand with them. But that we have, again, you can be referred to the Mass Commission for the Blind for services.
Okay.
And do
And
they?
they have basically the same, they have
Similar.
counselors, job placement specialists, they have the similar thing.
Okay.
So like I said, I'd be more than, if you have any employer contacts or have any questions or concerns about MRC itself, I'd be more than happy to be, you know, here available, and email me anytime.
I appreciate that, and that's
Yeah.
what we'll do. We'll reach out to the Chamber of Commerce next. I'll provide the brochure and your contact information, and hopefully, you know,
We are,
hopefully-
you know, like you said earlier, Maria's MRC is probably one of the best kept secrets out there.
Right.
Not only with consumers, but also employers. We don't have a big budget to go do marketing. We're not on commercials or anything like that. So it really is the job placement specialists and people like yourselves that really kind of help us do outreach, not only again to consumers, but employers.
Okay, we have a page on the town's website, so we can maybe put the flyer and, your information there for people who come to our site
That would be great. Yeah.
to browse.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe some little we also are part of the town's Facebook, so I'm thinking maybe we can put some little snippets out there on Facebook as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Greg. You were really very informative. Does anybody have any other questions for Greg? This went quicker than I thought.
I mean, I could get into the minutia if you really want me to, but
No, I think
I'll spare you.
what you did was exactly what we were looking for.
All right, great.
Right, what employers can expect, because I suspect that, employers are interested, but, if you've never hired an individual with a disability before, there's some anxiety there, and I don't know that they
Absolutely.
realize that there's, services like your agency provides to help them along the way.
Well, I like to think that's we're a change agent, if you will, right? Our agency is out there to demystify people with disabilities in the workforce and really educate employers about the myriad of different talents that our consumers have. There's that old chestnut, you work with people with disabilities. Oh, you help them get bagging jobs at Stop and Shop, right? Well, yeah, but it's much, 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 much more than that. People's skill sets run the gamut. So our role is to kind of break down those myths, if you will, and create opportunities. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time here today. And again, I'm available. I mean, Marie, you have my email, so feel free at any time. If anybody has any questions, concerns, I'm always available.
Very, very much appreciated. Great. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. Very good information.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome to stay on, and if not, you may.
I got a hungry teenager who just came from basketball, so I got to feed her.
I hear you. Thank you again. We appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So Mike, what do you think? Any suggestions of other than reaching out to the chamber, how we might proceed?
No, I think the chamber is the obvious first place to look towards. I'll give it some thought.
Yeah, maybe even, I'm sure the town probably has, they probably too are required to have a certain percentage of individuals with disabilities. I know we've talked to Bill Renault about this in the past, but we can always send the HR rep at Town Hall, the MRC brochure, and, in case they are not familiar with MRC.
That's a good idea. I'll just run it by Steve too, because he's got he's been at this for so long. He's probably got an understanding of what they've done, or whether they've been able to, to hire.
Okay. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from our January 9 meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion.
And second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Paula. Okay. And then the last item I have I had talked a little bit about this via email. So, as we see things in our, everyday readings, we're sending it off to Jen McDonald to ask her to either post on Facebook or post on our website. And I think we're overwhelming her a little bit with all the different emails. So she asked us if we could put a plan in place so that they come to her at some interval, weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly. So I think it might make sense if just one of us is the point of contact for that, and the rest of us would send to our point of contact, and then depending on, the interval that we decide, that person would send it off to Jen. I know Lorna had something that she just sent me this week that she saw. Trying to see what else we might have. I know Janice often stumbles upon things that she gets from her prior employment. So does anybody want to be that focal point that we can send the information to this so that you could send it off to Jen?
Do you want to have any kind of review of it, or do we want to have any way? I mean, it doesn't make sense to hold off till the next meeting because some things will already go by.
Right, exactly.
Do we have any parameters, or I'm not sure what we do want Jen to post and what we might not necessarily think is post worthy. That's my dilemma.
So obviously the focus is going to be disabilities. I know that, for instance, the item that Lorna just sent me, I think has to do with a transition fair. So it's in Medford. I don't have the details in front of me, but would be for the younger set. I think it talks about, job opportunities, but I think it also talks about different types of housing. MRC information, I think, would be really important, right? That it's talking about jobs, it's talking about supports for individuals themselves. What else?
Do we want there to be a certain amount of time until do we want at least 2 weeks prior to an event? Do we want to post it at a minimum of 2 weeks prior to the event occurring, or do we want to post something that's going to happen in 3 days? Does that matter? I don't know if we have any general parameters that we want to put into place.
Well, as you know, it all depends on when we see things, right? I mean, sometimes you're seeing something and it is happening in 3 days. And I guess in that instance, if we're going to decide that when we're going to send her things, every other week, then some of those things are not going to get posted, because by the time we decide to send them to her, the event's going to be over.
Did Jen say how often she would be willing to gather things up and post? Does she have a preference?
So what she's saying is provide her a list of what would like added to our resources webpage versus what would like as a social post. She said perhaps bi-weekly or once a month.
I think when we did the resources page, that was much more time intensive and labor intensive for her than we realized, and for us. So maybe that would be like once a month. I wonder if the things that we just wanted to be on like social media, like events that were upcoming, if we could even do that more frequently, like weekly, and if it was like a new agency. I know we had originally talked to her when we started doing those resources, like doing 2 new resources a month. And it just got to be a little bit,
Mhm.
I was the one who was doing it, and it just was it was just too time intensive. I couldn't
Yeah.
commit to the time.
So she's saying if it's a message from the commission about a particular resource, as would be the case in a social post, it's important that I know your message. Right, rather than just sending her what we've seen, she's asking, what is the message that we want to convey in the post? If it's a static resource you want available for the long term, that's important to know as well. It would be added to your webpage.
Wonder if we could even kind of develop some kind of form like this, you know, like social media post, you know, like check here, or website check here.
Yeah.
Like, and is it like upcoming information? You know,
Yeah,
for
maybe.
Wakefield families living with somebody with a disability, or
It's sounding like maybe it's easiest for everybody if it's once a month and during this meeting, with the exception of summer, we could discuss the resource, and then if it seemed like something valuable, send it off to the website. And then if it was something that was an upcoming event that was going to happen before the meeting, then you might have to send it more frequently than monthly.
Yeah, I think that that's going to make sense, because I think monthly for events that are happening, we're gonna miss too many.
Well, not only that, but the resources on the website are good. You've got quite a good array there now.
Yeah, I agree. So we could take a look at them to see if there's anything that we want to probably not remove, but if there's anything that we might want to add. Like, I think we do have MRC up, don't we, Paula?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do we want to take a look at the website during a meeting and look at the resources and see if there's any categories of things that we think are missing, or?
What? There's definitely a lot missing. I think there's like 10 or 12, and I think our intention was to have like 70 or 80, but to get it down to like 3 sentences and then get the hyperlink and get it formatted just right. I was working on it with Maeve. It was just, you know, it was like an hour resource. And I think it was right before the pandemic hit. And for me professionally, the pandemic has just meant significantly more work.
Okay, what can you see? Can you see
Yeah,
our
we can see.
website
Yeah,
resources and
yes,
services?
yes.
Okay. So we have it broken down here, advocacy services. If I click on the link, there's a bunch of drop downs here. If you click on legal services, pulls up a couple of the legals. State-based services. See Commission for the Blind, DDS. There's MRC. Agencies that provide services to Wakefield. Transportation. So, I mean, it is good.
It is good. Do we want anybody? I would be willing to take a look at it and make sure all the links work, because I know that happens on the state website all the time. Things just, I don't know how it happens, but things just detach.
Okay, that would be awesome. These links seem to be working, the
Good.
jump to links, but whether you click on Yeah, this is the ARC, so that one works. But yeah, that would
Great.
be great if you could just check on those. And
Okay.
if people want to take, if you have a minute and you want to take the time to go on, and if there's something that you know about in particular that you don't see there, that you think you want added, let's talk about it at the meeting next month. Okay, so let me stop sharing. So Janice, would you be interested in that role?
I could take on that role. I'm working a lot less than you all.
Lucky devil.
I know. The old devil.
Uh,
I earned that.
You did earn that. You absolutely did.
They're actually in the process of interviewing for my old position, so I might be one of these days not actually working. So, but yes, I would be happy to take that on. And then I think that I'll talk with Jen and find if that's okay with you and find
Yeah,
out what she'd prefer. So yes, and sending things. And we should designate, maybe as we do it, designate, I guess you call it a social post or a resource.
Right.
So are there any other categories? Like calendar, social post? And I can't think of anything else. Can anybody else think of anything that would fall under? All right. Well, if you think of
So
anything,
when you were inviting people to tonight, would that be considered a social post, or is that something totally separate?
It definitely, I think, would be a social post. In this case, I don't know if you get the item, but if you do, you saw it twice, because I sent it to the item, then I sent it to Jen, and not realizing that I sent it to the item, she sent it to the item, but that's fine. Better more than not enough. I reached out to some of the local disability commissions like Melrose. I sent them individual emails. There were just 3 of them, I think, at the time.
I saw it on the main Wakefield website. It was on there as well.
The town website.
Mhm,
Yeah, so that's where our Facebook post goes. And so what Jen says is to bump that up, right? We all should go on the town website, and then we share it on our own, our own social media posts.
I think, Judy, were you asking if meeting notices are different from social posts? Because that could be
No,
a
I
third
meant
category.
like tonight where it was a special speaker.
Okay,
So I was just curious if that is considered a social post or if it has some other name.
Mike, where did you see it?
I think I saw it in the item, and I may have seen it in the town council emails as well. I can't recall.
Okay.
I saw it in the item, yeah.
And I saw it on the agenda when I looked up the agenda.
Maybe do our best to get the word out there, but, and I didn't go to tonight's paper yet, so I had asked the item if they would publish it again on Monday night, but I don't know, or Monday today, but I don't know if they were able to or not.
Yeah, it was really well publicized, and some people might go on to the website later on and watch this recording.
Well, I was going to
Yeah.
say, yep, this, it's nice that these are recorded, because people know that they can do that now, so that they don't have to kill themselves to make the live meeting. They can watch it at their leisure, which is a nice option.
Yeah, it's on page 3 under public meetings tonight, I think. February 6th, that is today.
That's our meeting, but did they publish the article per se about MRC in tonight's paper? Do you notice?
Looking through.
Okay.
Person yet tonight? Yeah, it was a couple days ago.
Couple
Yeah,
days.
he's
Oh,
right. Yeah, it was like, it was 2 days in a row, maybe Thursday, Friday. I forget when I saw it. 2 days last week.
I think the item is no longer printing the ID or the password for the Zooms.
Correct, yeah. They just say to go to the agenda on the website, which is fine because it's not helpful when it's printed in the paper. It's so long. It's really no use. And the other item I wanted to bring up is I heard from Bill Renault, and he's still working on the coordination of the meeting for the Northeast Metro Tech. He's trying to get all of the cities and towns that, the 12 cities and towns that are involved to be part of that, or at least to give them the formal invitation. And he's running into difficulty reaching a couple of them. He said he'd follow up tomorrow. So he's going to plan to draft an email to us as to what it is he thinks should be said, and we can review it, and then we would send it out to these individual organizations. And he said he should have that to me by Wednesday. So one suggestion I would have is that we start to think of some questions, and I'll ask that too of the other disability commissions to think of some specific questions and concerns that we have that are disability related to the building of the new school. And, you know, I think we want them to be pointed because we know what we're hearing in the media, and I know what I read, but I don't really, I haven't done my own research to determine what is fact and what is fiction. So we would want to try to get to the bottom of that, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, when we have this meeting.
Does anybody have an idea of how many students the school will hold? Because I think somebody said there are 300 students on the waiting list to get into the current school.
I know it was published somewhere.
1,600.
I'm sorry,
It's 1,600.
is that bigger than the current school?
Yeah, it's gonna go up. It's going up 25%
Wow. Oh, that's
from
great.
about 1,250. I think it swings from 1,250 to 1,300, and it's going up to 1,600.
Great.
And I don't know if there's any time for a public comment, but I actually came to say I support you guys in looking into it. And I'm a disabled community advocate from Melrose who's been working with other people going around talking to disability commissions. And hearing that about Bill Renault is I actually have contacts or info about all the commissions right now. So I can try to link up with him or you guys. I tried to email you, but it bounced. So I don't have the right email, I think, for the commission.
Okay, so it's Commission on Disabilities at wakefield.ma.us.
Okay. Thanks.
Do you want to say that again?
Commission on Disabilities at wakefield.ma.us. Let me just see what, see if they have our contact information on this website.
Megan, would it be helpful?
I don't
for
know
you-
if there's still public comment time in here, but I did just want to let you know that there is a Northeast Metro Tech School Committee meeting on Thursday at 7. And a number of the public have been going. And last time, I think that a commissioner from, at least one commissioner from another town went.
Can you say the date again, please, Megan?
It's this Thursday, the 9th, and it's 7 p.m. and it's at 100 Hemlock Road in the library. One of the entrances does have an elevator. I was trying to help to work with the school to get the meetings filmed and streamed for remote participation. And they're in preliminary stages of setting it up with WCAT Studios. But I don't know that it'll happen for this Thursday.
So they don't typically host their meetings via Zoom as well as meet in person?
Yeah, no, it's just meet in person, and then there's public comment. You can talk about whatever you want. Sometimes they take their votes and then do public comment, but they, yeah, it's really good for them to see numbers of people. And it's the kind of thing where on the agenda, it'll say like when the public comment is, and then you can kind of, pop in and pop out. You can stay, but the tricky part is that there's the school committee, and then there's the school building committee, which is like a subsidiary of the school committee. And it's a little bit bigger, but it only meets like ad hoc. So every time they have another school building committee vote, those members meet. And Steve Mayo's on the school building committee. And then all the school committee members are also on the school building committee. And then it's like plus some other representatives of the school. And I think they have a couple other community reps, and then Steve Mayo.
So I think that, so our next meeting is,
I think it's March 6th.
our next meeting is the 6th, right? And Northeast Metro Tech is, I think, has a deadline of the 8th to file something with the town zoning board. So that's why Bill is encouraging us to, host this forum on the 6th so that, based on what we've all heard, we can make comments prior to the 8th before that zoning board meeting. So hopefully we're going to be able to pull that off. And Megan, what
Maria,
is your,
Are you saying it's coming to the ZBA meeting on the 8th?
I believe,
It's
I
on the
think it's
agenda.
the zoning board. I think, yeah, I can't. I'm in my work computer, so I'm not on my, I'm not on our website where the email would be, but I'll confirm that for you. And I'm sorry, Megan, what is your role? I'm sorry, you live in town, or you from Melrose? you
I'm
said?
actually Melrose. Yeah,
Melrose,
I
okay.
advocate on disability issues in Melrose. I'm not a commissioner, just to make that totally clear. And
Okay.
but I am a disabled person that lives in Melrose, and yeah, I just try to bring things to the commission when they come up in town. And there were already people advocating for disability. There's like a disability team sort of in this coalition of concerned residents from the different towns. And so yeah, I wanted to check out what they were doing. And a local architect from Wakefield, actually, who's very well known all over, he's come forward and he's talking about how this ramp is just a bad idea.
Right, he wrote a really good article in the Wakefield item a month or so ago, which I cut out, and yeah, I intended to, my intention is to invite him to our meeting on the 6th, because I think that, he would, based on his knowledge, he'll be able to ask those pertinent questions that we may, not even be on our radar.
Okay, I can point him your way too.
Yes, that's awesome. That would be great.
Brian Thompson. And we
Yeah,
have a presentation on accessibility that explains the ramp and stuff that I could just email you as a PDF.
yeah. Who did the presentation?
Or present if you want to, or send someone to present from Wakefield. Some of those folks are from Wakefield. Just to concerned citizens.
So the presentation was done by concerned citizens.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you want to send it to us via the commission's website, I'll, I don't want to post anything without running it past Bill Renault. He's our ADA coordinator in town, but he's also the town engineer. So he's got his fingers on the pulse on this as well.
Sure, I can drop you guys a link tonight if you'd like to just look at it as a PDF.
Sure.
He had said at our last meeting that even if it meets the letter of the law, as far as how a ramp is required to be built, it's impractical and unusable, as we were talking, Judy was talking about that last week.
Right.
It could very well be unusable by the people who need to use it.
And originally it was supposed to be from the lower student parking lot would be like kind of like how the parking lot as it is now to the building is 64 vertical feet. So originally they were going to have an athletic support building that you went into from the parking lot, and you went up 2 stories. And then you got popped out and went on this zigzagging ramp that they're calling a nature walk for 735 feet back and forth to the 60-foot spans to get to the building, or it was a 40-foot spans to get to the building. And now I think that they've removed the athletic support building. So they've removed this elevator. So it will be longer than 735 feet. But the grade of it will be 8%. Which is, like it's like a little bit under an inch to a foot rise over run. So that is ADA. And I talked to the Architectural Access Board, and they said you could build an 8% grade ramp to the moon and it would be ADA, but can anybody use it?
Do you know, we had asked at the last meeting and nobody knew the answer to this question. Are they putting the required accessible parking spaces up by the entrance to the building? Because that whole lot could, half of the lot or whatever it is could end up being ADA spaces. We didn't know.
So there's some up top and then there's some down the bottom. And then, but even people with, mild health conditions or age or anybody that's just not in the top shape, disabled tradespeople or adult learners might have considerations.
Count me in that.
And they're also saying that disabled people had a chance to make a comment on this before and throughout the project. And I don't know that the commissions were sought, because the ones that we've spoken to, so we've spoken to Woburn, Melrose, Chelsea, Malden, North Reading. Reading doesn't have one. Stoneham's is a little bit defunct right now, but they're trying to build it back up. Winthrop's is through the mayor. And Revere has a solid one and an ADA coordinator. And so I think we presented to 6 or 7 maybe, and they hadn't heard about it.
They hadn't heard about what?
The ramp or anything with
Oh.
the school.
So you're saying Reading has no commission?
I don't think they do. I mean, I want to double check because they could have another commission that doubles as disability in case, but North Reading is a disability commission, and they actually just brought it before their town council on a couple of different nights in January, and then also had their disability chair is also a select board or whatever they call it there. So they had the school there to talk, and then Melrose, David Hoff has written a really great letter.
Right. Yeah.
Malden has an ADA coordinator, Maria Luis, and she's pretty hip to this. I think Malden's trying to write a letter too. And Chelsea. And then I've spoken with Ralph in Revere, Ralph Tachico. He's ADA coordinator and disability chair. Yeah, I don't know if that's everybody, but I have a list, so I can. In Winchester, I've been speaking with Lisa Matrandola, disability chair, and they also have an ADA coordinator. Michaeltown.
Do you have a list that you have compiled that you could just send to our email?
Oh, sure, that
Would
sounds
you
a lot
mind doing that?
easier.
Yeah,
yeah, I can
if
do
you
that.
would. And I'll
Right.
share that with Bill, just so that we're
Right.
hitting the same people you're communicating with. Lois, you had a
Sure.
question?
Reading is not a commission like we
It's
are.
not town
Yeah.
function.
That's private.
Understanding disabilities.
Understanding disabilities.
Yes, so they don't have an appointed commission.
That they don't,
That way they can raise their own money.
that's right.
There you go.
And I have a contact person for that, understanding disabilities, that functions like their commission. If that's helpful, I can reach out to them.
Yeah, that would be great, Paul. If you can just get us a name that we could forward to Bill. In maybe he's using, already connecting with some of these people, but at some point, well, we can't wait forever to hear back from people. We're going to notify them, and then we're going to have to move forward to do what we want to do. And, and if they join, they join. And if they can't, then they can send a representative or however they want to handle it.
We've talked to them twice.
I think
In
it's still important to
Reading?
have the meeting regardless.
Right,
Whoever
I
can come, can
agree.
come.
I agree. And it sounds like other towns are doing similar, so they're trying to get the word out. We just want to make sure that we're communicating fact, right? And people are making a decision based on fact and not hearsay.
Traffic Advisory has a meeting this coming Friday. And basically it's discussing the roundabout going into the driveway leading to the new Volk School. But we can kind of bring up, do you have any ADA or handicap parking at the end of that driveway? But basically the discussion is on the roundabout.
Okay, and it's Friday at what time?
8:30.
8:30. Everybody can give you
8:30 a.m.
AM, yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot of documents on the website too, the project documents. So if you guys, it's a little hard to, it's not that hard to sift through, but it's not, there's a lot. So they have schematics there. They just approved in the 60% design phase, like the vote voted it in, the school building committee voted it in on the 19th of January, when they had one of these ad hoc school building committee meetings. And they should show, it shows how many spots are there for
Okay.
top and bottom.
I know they have some interesting things on that website. They had like a flyover that showed you when you came in. I think we looked at that at our meeting last week, right? And last month.
And the other thing that's come up recently, which is as of last Conservation Commission, where it's still, the project's still there in Wakefield Conservation Commission, and it's there tomorrow night at 7, is that they decided they were gonna put sidewalks on Hemlock Road and on some access road. I could have this a little bit, not 100%, but they decided that the grade of the road of those areas is +5, so they have to remove them. So you'd have students traveling in the street between some of they're gonna be 2 campuses, so they're gonna be going from upper and lower campus. So there were some sidewalk considerations.
All right, and it's a very
Clarify for
long road
myself.
from Farm Street in. At least it looks that way.
So there's
Megan, are you saying that the grade of the road is too steep for them to put sidewalks?
Yes, and I'm not sure which section of the road is that. So there's gonna be a lower campus and an upper campus. So this new building creates the upper campus. And then there'll be this new road in from Farm Street, but then the lower campus, like the parking lot where it is now for the Vogue, that will still connect. And they're gonna put some other road in, but some of the areas are +5% grade. So they can't put sidewalks in, because if they did, the sidewalks wouldn't be ADA. But that means that people will have to travel in the road. So I called out Architectural Access Board and they said, well, if there's a sidewalk there that's plus 5% grade, then that's not ADA. But if there's no sidewalk at all, we can't we can't regulate that.
Last I heard, there was gonna be a sidewalk on quote driveway going in, because there was a misunderstanding on whether that was a roadway or driveway. But I think they did decide on putting a sidewalk on one side.
Okay, well, Megan, if you send us some of that information, we'll have it and we'll share it and we'll try to do a good job of advertising this March 6th meeting.
Okay, great.
And I'll have your email if you send it to us, so then I can, I'll make sure to communicate that to you on that as well.
Great, thanks so much. And I spoke with your human rights chair the other day, and she's concerned about this ramp too. So she says I couldn't do it myself. I couldn't get up that ramp. And then the vote meeting this Thursday, the 9th at 7.
Okay,
So
it's at the library, you said.
it's at the library of 100 Hemlock Road.
Okay, look at it. Okay, and that's all I had. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, let me just check. I think that's it. Okay, if there is nothing else, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Thanks, Lois. And second? Thank you, Kristen. Okay, so thank you all. We'll plan to see you on March 6th, and I'll communicate via email the details as we learn them from Bill. Okay, thank you. Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Megan. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Megan. Yes.
Thanks so much. Maybe see
Good
you.
night.
Everyone.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Bye.
Has everyone put in their for appointments?
Oh, do we have to do that?
What is that? Oh, for those who are interested, there are 3 people whose commissions are expiring. So yeah, for those who are interested, they need to put their names in.
February 17th.
That's the
Who's-
deadline. Yeah, I think Sherry's reached out to everybody.
And
Yeah.
if we didn't hear, then we're not it.
Then you're good. Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Lois,
take
for
care.
saying, thanks for the
Bye-bye.
reminder, Lois.
Good night.